Good morning. We are going to make meatballs this morning. What you are going to need for this recipe, I prefer garlic powder, some olive oil, very little bit, basil, parsley, oregano. I have cornflake breadcrumbs, Parmesan cheese, 4 eggs. I usually use 3, but we have a lot more meat this time. I did say Parmesan cheese, cornflake breadcrumbs. I think we're good. A cup of milk, which may have to go more than that. Don't worry about the measurements. They do not have to be exact. Right now there are 6 pounds of ground beef in that bowl with 4 pounds of sausage. I usually do a 3-to-1 ratio. You have to use Italian sausage, mild 3-to-1, hot Italian sausage, just for a mild kick. Now what we're going to do is combine the meats. Before you start putting your ingredients in, you want them all mixed up real good. As you can see, my bowl is overflowing, so I have a backup bowl just in case it's too much. I don't have a mixer. Someday I hope to have a heavy duty, almost restaurant. It doesn't have to be the size of baking for the size of a restaurant. I just want the quality, restaurant quality, for a home mixer for baking and for stuff like this. Now I always keep the water running in the sink because this gets really cold, so you need to warm up your hands. You don't have to dry off your hands. A little moisture ain't gonna kill nothing. Now, as you can see, I have my cup of coffee over there because it's pretty early in the morning. It's 4:52. Now this will yield me 200 plus meatballs. So I end up freezing them. And we can eat spaghetti and meatballs once a week. I don't normally measure when I cook. I did this one just in case the first time I made it, so I know roughly what they are, but I cook by smell mostly. So once we get done mixing them up, I like them to sit in the fridge for a good hour before you start rolling. Now there's no way that this is going to work. It's going to spill over and make a mess, which I always make a mess anyway. I think the messiest cooks are the better ones. Now, I tried making meatballs by myself. It did not work. I found a recipe in a cookbook and I kicked it up a few notches like Emerald does. We're going to do the eggs. Used to be a pro at that. Not anymore. Okay, the eggs are in. Just a little bit of olive oil, very little. We're going to do the garlic powder. I prefer garlic powder. Fresh garlic and my stomach do not get along. So, you just sprinkle it on. You don't want to overdo it. You can always add more later. Okay, we're going to do the cornflake breadcrumbs, about half of these. Measurements do not need to be exact. Okay, we're going to Parmesan cheese. And that was a little shy because I spilled some of it earlier, so we're just going to add some more. Okay. Basil is a very, very strong spice, so you want to be careful how much you put in. You can overdo it on the basil, and then that's all you're going to taste. I just lightly sprinkle some in. Oregano you can be a little more liberal with. And parsley. Cornflake breadcrumbs aren't always easy to come by, so I just usually buy cornflakes and then I shred them to death in my food processor. Okay. We're good. Now the mixing begins, but I have to turn on the water again. Because my hands will get cold. You can cut this recipe in half, and you just cut all your measurements in half on your big main ingredients. You can do it with just ground beef. If you're not allowed to eat pork, they do come out good. I've made them with just ground beef for somebody very dear to my heart that isn't allowed to have pork. I've gotten rave reviews on these meatballs. With sausage, I prefer the ones that are in the tubes, not, just, you can use them, you just have to cut the casing off. Which is tedious and time consuming. Okay, they're pretty much bubbled, so we're going to put them together now. We're going to mix these two together, they should be fine. They smell perfect, so no need to add anything else. Okay, sorry for the lulls while washing my hands and warming them up because, like I said, the ground beef, the meat mixture will get cold. and my hands need a little bit of warmth in between. Now we're just gonna put the lid on here, and we're gonna refrigerate it for at least a good hour. It's a Sunday morning, so I'm gonna go to church first. God bless. You just roll your meatballs whatever size you want, big, small, and if you cook this much, you can freeze them. Just make sure you have a big freezer, or you make room in your freezer for them. We just had Thanksgiving, so we've been eating that for the last couple days. So I have plenty of room in the freezer. You can freeze them in a Ziploc baggie, or you can freeze them in sauce. Now, I cook my meatballs all the way through in the frying pan before I put them in my sauce. A lot of people put them in their sauce and let that cook all day. I do all day sauce. However, I have never made my meatballs raw in the sauce to cook all day long. But there are people that do that, and that's what you prefer. I fry mine all the way, make sure they're all the way done, and then put them in the sauce and let them cook the rest of the day. Have a great day. God bless. Bye. One more thing. Any recipe can be cut in half, even quartered. You just, like I used a cup of milk, you can use a half a cup of milk, a half a cup of some of the ingredients, or you can go down to a quarter cup. You can make a very small amount of meatballs or many and freeze them. I use 80% ground beef because the fat makes my meatballs taste good. I'm not willing to go any higher on the fat content, because you remove the fat, you remove the flavor. So like I said, God bless. Have a good day.